Now, before going to that, let me give you some useful points for understanding Sri Ramakrishna's answers. The second question was asked, and that is very, very pertinent question for all of us. Whether you become a monk or you are living in the household, does not matter. We are all in this world. So his question was how to live in this world. And Sri Ramakrishna gives answers, so to say, through many examples. So before we take up that question, I would like to present a few points before you so that it will be easy for us to understand Sri Ramakrishna's answers in a better way. It will be easy for us to contemplate on them and take them into our lives. So we may remember the question what Sri Ramakrishna asked to Master Mahasaya. He checked with Master Mahasaya whether Master Mahasaya believed in God with form or without form. Sakara and Nirakara. These are two Sanskrit words. Sakara means with form, Nirakara means without form. And by now we know that this is one of the baffling questions. Thoughtful people all over the world have been asking, how would two apparently or supposedly contradictory things or experiences be true at the same time? That is a great question throughout the world. I would present before you three examples. All of us know that the sun does not move, but at the same time, all of us see that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This is a contradictory thing. We know that the sun does not move, but we see that it is moving. Similarly, in physics, we have seen that the dual wave-like and photon-like nature of light, known as the wave-particle duality. Wave-like nature of light and the photon-like nature of light. There is a duality, wave and particle duality. The third example I would draw from the Upanishad called Isha Upanishad. It says that the Atman or Brahman or the self moves. At the same time, it does not move. It says that it is far, at the same time it is nearest of the near. It says that it is completely inside, but it says again that it is outside. Tat antarasya sarvasya, tat u sarvasyasya bahyatah. Sanskrit mantra says that Brahman or Atman is inside us, and at the same time it is outside of us. So these are the three contradictory experiences or the observations that we can present to say that this is a baffling question which has been tormenting the thoughtful minds all over the world. And we have seen that Shankaracharya has given a momentous answer. He says that both these contradictory experiences are valid and true at the same time under two different conditions. Two different conditions. Suppose when I see that the sun is moving, that is because I have located myself on the moving earth, and the movement of the earth is superimposed on the sun. And if I locate myself outside the earth, somewhere in the space, then what I will see that the earth is moving. Our earth is moving. So they, in the space station, they saw that the earth rise, not sunrise, not moonrise, they saw the earth rising. So these are, there is no consistency as such in this respect. Shankaracharya says, he says that this is possible from two different standpoints of the states being conditioned and unconditioned. That states, the points, the viewpoints through which we are looking at this experience, they are different. Therefore, we are having different experiences of the same thing. That is what Sri Ramakrishna told Master Mahasaya about God with form and without form. That is in conclusion of our discussion last time. Now, we will look at Sri Ramakrishna's teachings from a very, very complete standpoint. That means his teachings, his experiences are always all inclusive, means non exclusive. The doctrines of spirituality that have been preached by Sri Ramakrishna, they have four specialities. That is why they are universal. First speciality is that all his teachings are humanistic, meant for human beings, not meant for gods, but meant for human beings, meant for us. They are non-exclusive, they are all inclusive. They are proved to be authentic by the yardsticks of universal laws. By the yardsticks of universal laws. And practically they are applicable for one's own good as well as for the good of the betterment of the whole world. So they have two dimensions. They have an implication for our personal life, and they are equally applicable in the greater scenario that we experience it ourselves, and it becomes beneficial for the world. So these are the four main things what we get in Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, that is humanistic, non-exclusive, and they are universal, and they are universally applicable for the betterment of all. So humanistic approach that we will see, as Swami Vivekananda has said, that I do not believe in a God who cannot give me bread here and giving me eternal bliss in heaven. He said, I am a believer in a God who by the ignorant is called man. He said, I am the believer in a God who by the ignorant is called man. So whatever spiritual disciplines we will see and teachings we will see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, they are meant for all human beings, all of us. They are humanistic. And that is, they are non-exclusive. Even Sri Ramakrishna in his own life as a young child, he did not want to learn arithmetic for the simple reason that arithmetic teaches us deduction, exclusion, subtraction. So Sri Ramakrishna does not want to exclude anyone, does not want to reduce anything. See, he was a young child. At that time, he was completely influenced by a universal philosophy that everybody, everyone is one family, one humanity. That was his experience. And so, as a child, because he was a world teacher, so from his childhood itself, we will see that he manifested those qualities which are meant for the whole of humanity. So, he did not want to exclude anyone, and that is why he did not want to learn arithmetic. Then another idea that we get from Sri Ramakrishna, that he said that God is one. He not only said, but he proved that God is one. This idea is available in the Vedas, that truth is one, and different people call it by different names. Well, the first question we may ask, who will define God? Who defines God? Sri Ramakrishna is not the authority to define God. If we say that, then who defines God? If God is one, then we don't need to ask this question. This becomes irrelevant. So we do not require to answer who defines God. We cannot level God. We do not give any level to God. And if creation is one, then there will be only one creator. And if there are many creators, then we have to find out a creator who created these creators, because each creator is limited by the existence of other creators. Therefore, it is Sri Ramakrishna's one of the greatest contributions, that he defines God as one. Then another point from his teachings we get, which we got from the Gita, that there are many paths to the same God. Gita has taught us different yogas. There are different paths. There are different groups there are different groups of people who follow a particular path. So there are different paths we have seen. So in the Gita we find that there are different paths. They are called the yogas. And Sri Ramakrishna also excels in this respect by the great degree of appreciation and acceptance of various paths. So he said that as many faiths, so many paths. Now, here is one thing which is very, very important when we are looking at the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, and that is that Sri Ramakrishna said that there are many paths, as many religions, so many paths to God. So that is what is called religious pluralism, what is known as interfaith in today's world. And the main idea behind this religious pluralism is not tolerance, but acceptance. So actually the word interfaith did not exist before Swami Vivekananda's advent in the world religious forum. So Swami Vivekananda, like his guru, did not like this word tolerance. Tolerance means that we tolerate someone. That means that there is a very thin difference, thin line between tolerance and intolerance. So Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, they gave stress on the word acceptance. So religious pluralism should be based on our acceptance. Otherwise, what will happen? It will be called religious relativism. It is a relative thing, that when we are saying that all religions are true, then maybe we accept this fact that accepting my religious, which is absolute, other religious are true, means that is relative. Like the theory of relativity says that the light's speed is absolute. The speed of light is absolute. So, and all other things are relative. So here, if my faith is absolute, then all other faiths are relative to that. The main problem is that when we are really speaking of religious pluralism or interfaith, then we will be able to preach these ideas and teach these ideas to our own congregation. Until that happens, this will remain in the words only. They will not take part, or they will not form part of our religious understanding and religious practices. And why the religions have become like that, that they have lost their vigor, their vitality, their power. It happens, it is a historical aberration that in course of time, these truths or these religious values, they lose their vitality, they lose their strength because they get diluted. And they get diluted because they get diluted in the hands of the incompetent preachers. That is the clear idea. Shankaracharya also says in the commentary to the Gita, he says that during the long passage of time, religious ideals have been propagated by people who did not practice it and who had goals other than spiritual ones. In most of the cases, in today's world, this is true because those of us who follow religion, religious life, and represent religion, we may not be having spiritual goals. We may be affiliated to some material goals, some political goals. Then the religion loses its vitality. So we need to rejuvenate that spirit. That's what Sri Ramakrishna has done. Another point we have to keep in mind that there is an objection from the um, literary community, from the scholars, that Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda, they were not really philosophers, technical philosophers. Actually speaking, none of the Vedic seers or the were philosophers. None of the incarnations or prophets, they were not philosophers. They were not philosophers in the technical term of this word. So, but Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhyacharya, Madhvacharya, and others, they were philosophers, and they had to prove or support their philosophical argumentations or philosophies with the help of references from the lives of these great teachers, from the lives of great teachers, from the experiences of the sages in the Vedas, in big holy books. They don't need to be technical philosophers, but philosophy has to derive their validity from these great saints and sages. Another point we have to keep in mind, that's what Swami Vivekananda tried to emphasize. There are 4 points why we look at Sri Ramakrishna to be so authentic. Now, and this significance is unparalleled in the history of the religious world. Sri Ramakrishna remained unlettered. Unlettered, he did not go to study for higher studies or study. He did not have that formal education. But he had religious or spiritual experiences. So, when we read the experiences of Sri Ramakrishna, we see that his experiences are the same as those recorded in the scriptures. In the scriptures. Therefore, what happened? Then his experiences were true. His experiences were true because they have been experienced by others also. It is not his personal property. It is not his monopoly. Others also experienced that, and he too experienced those things. Therefore, they were true. And they have been written in the, they are written in the scriptures which Sri Ramakrishna has never read, have never read. So therefore, that has been cross-checked that way. And then the spiritual states that have been recorded in the scriptures, Vedas and Vedanta, they also have been corroborated. Their truth have been corroborated because Sri Ramakrishna did have those experiences without knowing anything about them. Therefore, the scriptures have been proved by his experiences, and his experiences have been also proved by the scriptures. And the third thing which happened, that the spiritual states recorded in the scriptures of other faiths are also true, because Sri Ramakrishna practiced those paths and then proved that they are true. He did not read the Bible, he did not read the Quran or any other great holy books. But when he had experiences of those religions, he did have those experiences which are recorded in the holy books. So these books, the authenticity of those experiences in those books, holy books, has been proved. And the fourth thing which is really, really very important, the importance can never be underscored sufficiently, that all human beings can indeed achieve these states by treading the path of any religion. Each human being and all human beings can indeed achieve these states by treading the path of any religion. That is what Swami Vivekananda has said, and that is the significance of Sri Ramakrishna's contribution. Now we look at another aspect of Sri Ramakrishna whom we see in the Gospel. Sri Ramakrishna was a very serious person, though outwardly it may seem that he is very, very joyous and he seems to be light-hearted, dancing, singing, and doing all these things. But it is something amazing to notice that Sri Ramakrishna was in bliss or constant joy even in the midst of very, very disturbing suffering. He had the throat cancer. In the midst of that suffering, that pain, still Sri Ramakrishna was in bliss, in happiness. That is something special. And we won't be able to fathom the depth of his joy and bliss, because he was not like one of us. He was something special. We have seen in the life of Buddha, after he realized, we have seen that he went round and round the Bodhi tree several times, 3 nights, 3 days. He did not know what to do. He was so happy, he did not know what to do. He went round and round the Bodhi tree. So that was something very, very interesting here. And while continuously experiencing spiritual joy inside, one cannot show a poker face outside, poker face of seriousness outside. It is not possible. You have so much of joy inside. How can you show a grave face outside? Actually, speaking, many people think that spiritual people should be very serious. They should stand or sit on a high pedestal, and if they will speak in a different language, different tone, unlike human beings. All peculiarities will be called spiritual thing. So, and sometimes something is disturbed. Muted. So sometimes it is seen that people are not really serious about spiritual searching. We want to be spiritual person and we go to see spiritual people, but we try to see something else in them, not spirituality. That somebody should be very young, somebody should be speaking, quoting actually from the scriptures, but not mentioning the sources. So people would think that it is their experiences. Somebody should have very flowing beard. Actually speaking, someone told me in some place that yeah, a spiritual person should have a flowing beard and big hairs, and most of them should be white. And it is easy nowadays to have white beard, etc., because you get colors to color your hair and beard, etc. This Swami Vivekananda calls it is a kind of dichotomy, and which is called a disease. He said, if you have such a disease, do not come out to the public. You do not have the right to spread the disease to others. So spirituality is serious, and it is so serious that you are not able to suppress the happiness that you are experiencing, being being constantly under the influence of divine bliss inside. That's what we see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that he is always a happy person. Another thing which is very special about the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that Sri Ramakrishna would never compromise with facts and truth. So even when he tested Mahendranath and he accepted Mahendranath to be the recorder of his gospel, he did not stop checking the authenticity of the words that Mahendranath have recorded. So sometimes he would ask Mahendranath, okay, tell me, how did you like my talk on the other day? Did you like that conversation? Did you like today's conversation? Then Mahendranath says, yes, I liked it. Now repeat it to me. Then he asked, what did I say? Mahendranath replied, you told like that, like that, like that. He narrated what Sri Ramakrishna said. Then Sri Ramakrishna corrected. No, this is not what I said, but I told that I have heard it from such and such person. So Sri Ramakrishna is acknowledging the source. So there is no scope for plagiarism. There is no scope for infringement of intellectual rights. He is checking whether the sources have been properly mentioned. Even there was a mistake in the name of the person whom Sri Ramakrishna referred to. So he said you once said that to Padma Lochan also. Then Sri Ramakrishna corrected, said, no, I did not say it to Padma Lochan, I said it to Bamundas. Said there are two different persons. So he was correcting. So he was looking at this fact that the sources should be properly acknowledged. Another thing we see in the gospel, that Sri Ramakrishna always encouraged questioning. We read in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that once during a conversation with devotees, one gentleman went on arguing with Sri Ramakrishna. Many in the audience felt unhappy. One of them told this particular gentleman, why do you argue? Accept when he says so, when Sri Ramakrishna says so. This displeased Sri Ramakrishna. He reacted saying, why do you ask him to accept? One should be encouraged to test the thing. That's what he said. So he encouraged questioning and testing. Then another thing we will see, that there is immense practicality in the teachings and life of Sri Ramakrishna. This is very, very much necessary, and we discussed this point while discussing about this Yoga Sutras, introducing the Yoga Sutras. So it is practical like this, that the yoga teachers, they teach, they first explain things theoretically, then they show practically how to do it. They not only say, but they show also personally. And that's what happened in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He said he himself had practiced many such difficult austerities, and he proved that they are doable even for a human being having frail physical body. It is possible that we can practice those spiritual austerities. This is what we find in Sri Ramakrishna. And the practicality is that the spiritual principles, they are to a great extent mechanical for our practice. We have to practice them mechanically, but they will bring us some mystical results, some non-mechanical results. That is the truth in our spiritual practices. That's what Sri Ramakrishna has shown. So in Sri Ramakrishna's gospel, we find that this spirituality has become very practical. And Sri Ramakrishna himself practiced that, because otherwise people will not have that faith in the efficacy or value of those things. A great confession comes in the Gita itself. Sri Krishna says, he pronounces that in all the three worlds I have nothing, no duty to be performed, and because I have nothing to be achieved or nothing to be lost. I have no want of anything, but still I engage myself in incessant work, incessant work. And why? And he gave a wonderful reply. He says, if I do not do work, do not show how to do things, then my creation will follow my path. If I am God, my creation will follow my path. And I will be the cause of the destruction of my own creation. That's what he says. So they want to do things by themselves. They want to show things by themselves, so that we have great confidence in the value and also benevolent power of those spiritual things. Even Holy Mother once said that she wanted to have more hands. With two hands, she was not able to help people, help her children. So she told that if I had four hands, I would have done much more services to my own children. This whole world is her children. These things we find in the gospel that they are practical, because Sri Ramakrishna himself has tested them, proved them, and showed them to others. And we will see that in the gospel there are teachings for all types of truth seekers. For all types of truth seekers. I use this word truth seekers, because even the agnostics and the so-called non-believers or the atheists are not excluded. They are not excluded. They are atheists. They do not believe in a personal God. But they believe in the truth. They are truth seekers. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna Krishna's teachings are helping us to realize the truth. It is not a faith. It is your own experience, it is your own effort that will produce the result. So there are teachings or sayings for all types of spirituality seekers. Sri Ramakrishna himself has said, suppose a mother has one fish to be cooked for different children. So she will cook different dishes to suit the taste of different children. It is like that. Sri Ramakrishna's gospel does not differentiate us. All the teachings there are meant for the humanity and for all types of spiritual seekers. So we will discover slowly in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that this is the most modern of the scriptures. This is the most progressive in its approach. And this does not make any reader uneasy to accept its teachings because it happily combines the past spiritual ways with their applicability in the present day context. And similarly, Sri Ramakrishna is the latest of the incarnations of God whose life and teachings are uniquely suitable for addressing modern maladies. So, therefore, the benefit of reading the Gospel is that you will see that such a Sri Ramakrishna is talking to us through his Gospel. Mother Teresa of Avila has said that when we talk to God, we talk through prayers. When God talks to us, he talks through scriptures. Through this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we will see that Sri Ramakrishna is talking to us directly. He is an incarnation of God. He is an incarnation of the Creator. He is actually not speaking to our body, to our mind, or to the emotions in the mind. Or he is not talking to our intellect and its reasonings. But he is directly talking to our soul, which is desperately in need of liberation or freedom from bondage. So we'll feel that he is with us, God is with us. When we read the Gospel, we will see that he is with us. And there is no more assurance than this, that he is working hand in hand with us, thinking together with us. He is suffering together with us. That is one great thing, benefit we get when we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We'll see that our own sufferings will become smaller. We will gain more faith. We will gain more strength. Our fear will be reduced. So this is the benefit when we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So now before beginning that the answers in the second question, let me look at some sterling points which Sri Krishna has mentioned in the Gita, that is the 10th chapter in the Vibhuti Yoga, in the two wonderful verses number 4 and 5. He is enumerating the things which we need to increase in us and the things which we need to remove from our mind, from our habits. So there is a big list of things, and we will see that all these ideas have been highlighted in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So what we need, what Sri Krishna has said in these two verses, they are really wonderful. First one is, we need a discerning intelligence. Our intelligence should be serious. It will be able to discern between things which are beneficial for us and which are not helpful in our, even in our life. Then true knowledge, non-delusion or presence of the mind, or ready-wittedness, forgiveness. These are sterling qualities. Sri Krishna says that we need to have these things. Forgiveness. They say forgive and forget. It is easy to forgive, but it is difficult to forget. That Sri Krishna knows. That is why he says that when the rasa, the remembrance of those events, those bitter experiences, will not be eradicated with this word forgiveness. We have to forget them. So we have to work on that. So to forget that is the virtue, not forgiveness. Forget, then virtue is complete. Truthfulness. Truthfulness means what we think inside our mind will be able to speak that out when necessary, if it is necessary. Then control over the senses, which is called Dhamma, control over the mind, which is called Sama, and accepting both pleasure and pain as the obverse and reverse of the same coin. When you take a coin, you will get both. Birth and death. The birth is an event. If the birth is an event, death is also an event. We don't cry for our birth. We do not lament for our birth. Why am I born? We don't say that. But then why should I die? That is a big problem. So accept this birth and death as events. They are very similar. And that will help us to move from fear to fearlessness. That is what Sri Krishna says. Then he says again, practice non-violence. It is actually called empathy. The empathy is a merit. Non-violence is not. Ahimsa is not by itself not a merit, but love is what is called merit. Ahimsa means instead of showing violence, we should show love for others. Equanimity means same-sightedness. Being happy, unhappy does not matter. Things are there. Contentment. Holy Mother has said there is no greater virtue than contentment. Austerity. Practice of restraint, both physically and mentally. Charity and benevolence. Charity means what? What we give. No. Jesus has said, let not your left hand know what your right hand does. That is what is called charity. Let not your left hand know what your right hand does. If we give something and don't go on trumpeting on that virtue, don't go on publicizing about it, don't go on printing in the newspaper, then that is what is called charity. Fame means that which we gain due to doing good things for others. These are all things, virtues, which Sri Krishna has enumerated in the Gita. So these will be addressed in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we will slowly come across these points which we have discussed now. And now we will go to that particular question which Master Masai asked. That is the second question. He asked Sri Ramakrishna, how ought we to live in this world? Now Sri Ramakrishna is answering. There are varieties of answers, but it flows and flows one after another, because Sri Ramakrishna is feeling that urge to help us. Therefore, the heart is pouring out. The heart is completely pouring out for us. That is what is called grace. That is what is called grace. If you read these examples, this portion in the Gospel, you will see that Sri Ramakrishna pouring out his heart for removing our sufferings. Answering this question means how ought we to live in this world. In this world, we have to live here, but how is it possible to live in this world? What is the best way to live in this world? And Sri Ramakrishna's answers are just pouring out. This is how the grace works. It comes through the mouth of the Lord, and it pours into your heart, and it touches your soul, which is in bondage, which is suffering, which is panting for breath. So this fresh air goes inside, and it brings us face to face with this great teacher of humanity. So he starts answering. Do all your duties, but keep your mind on God. Live with all, with wife and children, father, mother, and serve them. treat them as if they were very dear to you, but know in your heart of hearts that they do not belong to you. This we have to understand. We think that they are our properties. Belonging to me means they're our properties. How do we own them? That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. There are two incidents which makes God laugh at our ignorance or stupidity. One incident when God sees that two brothers are dividing a property between them in two halves, and when the same thing has been halved in weight, in taste, everything is similar, but one will always find that the other half is a better half or a bigger half. This is always the psychological problem. So God actually laughs looking at this this partition. He thinks none of these two fools has created this world, and this is my world, my creation, and they are dividing my property, my ownership between them. So they are not owners of this. How do they divide that between them? Similarly, when the doctor comes and says that don't worry, I will cure the patient, and God laughs. He laughs because he thinks who is the savior? Who is the savior? So he is saying, but know in your heart of hearts that they do not belong to you. This is a big problem with all of us. We think these things belong to us because we think this body belongs to me. And whatever is connected or related to this body, connected with this body, those things are owned by us. This is really, really unfortunate. So don't think that they belong to you. You are not the owners. Next example he gives, a maid servant in the house of a rich man performs all the household duties, but her thoughts are fixed on her own home in the village. She brings up her master's children as if they were her own, with all sincerity, with 100% sincerity, love, and affection. She raises the children of the master, but she even speaks of them as my Rama, my Hari, the names of the children. But in her own mind, she knows very well that they do not belong to her at all. Nothing in this world belongs to us. Why? Because we too belong to God. We too are created. We too are His creation. Therefore, nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Him. When we used to end our letters in olden days, nowadays God has almost disappeared. At the end of every letter, we used to write yours in the Lord. That means that I am yours, not directly, but in and through the Lord. So we both of us belong to the Lord. So we are connected, we are related. We are divine brothers and sisters. That is a divine relation. Then another example he gives. The tortoise moves about in the water. But can you guess where her thoughts are? They there on the bank where her eggs are lying. Do all your duties in the world, but keep your mind on God. It is possible. It is possible to do that. When we are doing works in this world, we can really think of God. There was one devotee who was helping me in the Bindwadi, our retreat house initially. We were two living there. One senior devotee was there with me. One day he was cutting small pieces of vegetables. I went inside and saw that he has to cut many small vegetables. So it would take much time. He is a senior person. So I sat on the other side and started cutting those small vegetables. Suppose okra, small okras. Then he looked at me and asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "I am trying to help you." Then he said, "Well, if you are actually taking my work. If you do my work, then I go away," he said. I said, "No, no, don't go away. I go away because you are the only help I have here." And then what he said, with each cut, I am taking the name of the Lord. I am repeating my mantra. And if you cut many vegetables, then you are depriving me of taking so many names. See, he is doing a very ordinary work, but with a very, very high standard of mind. Very high mind. He is thinking of the Lord. So one day, Swami Premananda, a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he was cutting vegetables for cooking for lunch with some brahmacharis in the monastery at our headquarters, Belmont. So Holy Mother came with her assistants, some ladies, companions, came in there and saw that they were cutting the vegetables. Then Holy Mother told something, and her companion loudly told our Swami Premanandaji, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, "Premananda, Mother is saying that she is very happy to see that you are all doing Sri Ramakrishna's work, God's work." Then Premananda got up and came running to Mother and then fell at his feet in prostration. When he got up, he said, "Whatever we do by cutting vegetables, taking care of the cows, or taking care of the garden, by whatever means it is possible, we are trying to propitiate, please the Mother of the universe, the Lord. Please the Lord." So by all means, whatever we do, we can think of God. That is the idea. So in the midst of all our mundane activities, very ordinary activities, we can remember the Lord, provided we try to lift our mind high. So he says that keeping her mind on God, she was keeping the mind on God, one can work in this world. Another example, if you enter the world without first cultivating love for God, you will be entangled more and more. You will be overwhelmed with its danger, its grief, its sorrows, because you have not practiced how to remain undisturbed in the midst of all these troubles. You have not prepared yourself as a human being. You have prepared yourself as an emotional person. You have prepared yourself as a very, very sensitive person. Therefore, if anything happens there, you get very much disturbed. And the more you think of worldly things, the more you will be attached to them. So first rub your hands with oil and then break open the jackfruit. Otherwise, they will be smeared with its sticky milk. First secure the oil of divine love and then set your hands to the duties of the world. There are many more examples here. We will take up those examples in our next meeting, next class on the next Wednesday. So I will stop here, and I thank you very much for your participation. I wish you healthy and happy time in spite of all the things happening all around us. And please keep on praying to God, meditating on God. That will help you to live with yourself, to find meaning in your own life. in spite of everything, whatever has been going on around us. Wish you healthy time till our next meeting, and wish you a very good night. Thank you very much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.